cause I be busting the dope moves. But the problem stay the same. How you riding for the cash when you ain't riding in my lane? Shorty all about a paper, so your mixture look the same. In the game I play the lane like Eddie Kane, cause I be busting the dope moves.
And I'm trying to tell y'all, it's the same thing with civilization. They'll show you a group of people, right? And I use his favorite place, America, for my example. They'll show you Luzia, and they'll tell you that Luzia is 14,000 years old. And then they will tell you in the very next sentence that the first civilization in the Americas is the damn Olmecs. So what the fuck was Luzia in them? Chopped liver? So when y'all got to understand how they word shit. They word shit to lose you. Like they say, Egypt and Mesopotamia are labeled as the two oldest civilizations on Earth. Because they was building shit. That's the two oldest pieces of evidence where they can find that people building shit like that. Cool. But if we just saying people living together and having oral tradition and having language and having fellowship and community is civilization, then how come those people don't count? And that's what I be trying to explain. That's why they timeline start with Egypt and Mesopotamia as far as civilization go. But they'll tell you
Luzia. They saying black people labels.
Nah, but they'll tell you that Luzia was 14,000. Like, let's just do the math. If they say that the Pyramid of Giza is around what, 3,000 BC or some shit like that, it's 2020. That's 5,020 years. So if you're telling me that Luzia is 14,000 years ago, well, Luzia will be around 12,000 and something BC. Luzia is older than Gobekli Tepe.
It just make me wonder how she get there.
Well, they have a concept. They have a concept. I mean, but they ain't saying that. They ain't saying that people wasn't there before that. But how long before, they won't know until they start to find more people, because then those are breadcrumbs. Luzia is just the biggest breadcrumb that they have because she's the oldest. That's the only reason. Now, they found people that's 10,000 years old. I think the Ansic boy is like 9,000 years old. And I believe that's North America. I believe one of them is Montana, and he's either 7,000 or 8,000 years old. Yeah. So that's why when I'm saying when they try to kick that shit about people being somewhere, only thing I'm saying is you can believe what you want to believe, and this goes to religion too. But the evidence is really all you have to go off of, y'all. You can't go off nothing else. You can't go off your beliefs or your personal opinions because you can't substantiate those claims. You can't demonstrate it. And if you can't demonstrate it, you can't argue it really. So you can believe what you want to believe. He believes that black people been in America longer than 100,000 years. Now, I know it get heated between me and him. And I know that I say things like bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And I could be wrong. But and even though I could be wrong, that don't change the fact that there's no evidence for his claim, y'all. There's no.
I don't never say it's true, but I got evidence.
I'm just saying there is no evidence to make that claim.
They take stuff off, like.
I mean, but it's a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to the lady who did extensive work and kind of is the birthplace of that idea. They were saying it was stuff older right here in Pennsylvania, by Florida, like. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what you say, and then you say they took it off the internet. Pac, I'm gonna tell you one thing about that internet. That internet fights back. People throw shade on motherfuckers who try to hide information. And that's why shit actually comes out. And what I'm saying is the lady believed what she believed. And I'll grant you this. She believed exactly what you believe. That it was Africans. She don't think it was nobody else. She don't believe it could have been nobody else. I'll give you that. And Clyde Winters, who quoted her and based his opinion off of her, he believed the same thing. All three of y'all in the same boat, that over 100,000 years ago, Africans was the first people in the Americas. Both of y'all on that same boat. All three of y'all, excuse me. And I don't have nothing wrong with it, but Clyde Winters' data was her data, You haven't really provided me with data on why you believe that number, but her data is like cave art. So my first question is, are black
I
people
seen all that dumb stuff. I
exactly?
seen it all.
And I agree with you. That's dumb stuff because black people wasn't the only people who made cave art. So she can't make that claim. And
I called about 10 minutes ago. He was leaving out.
and another reason I do believe that blacks, the Olmecs are black, and I do believe that.
They are.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
the hell is that?
we both agree. But the reason why, me personally, and it puts me in a corner. It puts me in a box. I don't know which way should I go, because at one place I do believe black people was here first, but with the evidence of Luzia and Niede, until I find out that these are black people, right? Because I want to believe they are, especially Niede. I don't believe you can get that name anywhere else on earth, but I could be wrong. I don't know everybody.
Come on, cross the tape.
I don't know everybody. I don't know everybody's language phonetics, but here's my problem.
Come on.
But here's my problem with it. My problem with it is that, and it could work both ways. Theoretically, it logically works out both ways, because if Africans come from Africa, whatever date they got for Luzia in them, and they are black people, and those technologies that will later exist don't exist, ain't no way they could have took them to America. If something don't exist yet, they can't take it to America. But my thing is, I'm 100% convinced of the Olmecs because of the artwork, and not just the artwork, the pyramid. That's not an invention of America. That's an invention that was brought to America. Who better to bring it to America and resurrect perfectly built pyramids other than the people who was over there in the place where they originate from? And that's just why I can believe both, because I do know black people was expanding, and I do know that we was populating for a very long time, and we've been moving around the world for quite some time now. I know that because our genetics is in people. Our genetics is in multiple people, so I know we've been moving around the world. But at the same time, if somebody was to propose that the Olmecs was the first blacks to make it to America, I wouldn't be mad at that neither, because I can believe that, because once the Olmecs got there, the shit started to pop. It didn't really pop before them. Like, they don't have no pyramids or no temples or no stone building before the Olmecs. So let's look at the way they paint in this picture. Luzia and Niede are Native Americans, right? And let's just say the Olmecs come. Let's just say the Olmecs come, and then shit start popping. Then the pyramids start getting built. Then the temples start getting built. Then all these motherfucking cultures come and shit like that. I could believe it both ways. I could believe it both ways. I could believe that Africans came there before certain African technologies.
I can believe it. I ain't got a hard time believing two things at once. My brain is bigger than that.
Yeah, I can believe it both ways. I can see it both ways. I'm only going to rock with the evidence. So I just know that I honestly believe that there was a lot more of them people on this land than anybody else.
Sure.
That's all.
Say hello to the big guy.
I'm talking about Native Americans, not black people.
I mean,
I have to believe that because it's just the same way I said about the black people, the artwork. The way
I ain't worried about no goddamn artwork.
But I am, because that artwork is older than everything you talk about. Fuck you mean?
Give me a crown.
That artwork is older than all the shit you talk about in America.
Give me a crown, bro.
That artwork go back to the beginning of them, bro. Just like they agriculture, all that shit. That shit go right back to when that shit Mesoamerica started to pop. And if you really want to keep it a bean, and I'll say this again, and I'll say this for the last time, North American Native Americans was not nowhere near on the level of South American Native Americans. Nowhere near. They wasn't even in the they weren't even in the same universe.
Nah.
And I believe that's because the Africans didn't go to North America. They went to South America.
I mean, that was my story all along, but I think I just don't know about origin or nothing, so I theorize about certain things, but I'm not gonna separate that from real information.
Only thing I'm sure about the origin of is Native Americans' continent of origin. I'm not gonna tell nobody. I'm sure I know where they say what part of the continent they say they come from. I'm not gonna sit here and argue that to be correct. I'm just gonna say they are Asians. They do come from Asia. Yes, that part is 100%.
What, the South Americans? Yeah.
All Native Americans. All North and South Native Americans.
No, the South Americans.
Nah, bro. Listen. Okay, so let's look at his philosophy.
Yeah.
Let's look at his philosophy. So they at the top and the bottom of him, but they not in the middle. That's his philosophy. Native Asians. The Alaskan Eskimo is above you. He's all throughout Canada. The Inuit. These are the same people.
I just mean people live there. Right?
No, Paco, I'm talking about the people that they are. Look at them. They're Asians. Look at the Eskimo. He's an Asian. Just like, okay, so the reason I'm telling you is because in the hypothetical scenario that you just told us was the truth.
Why, though.
No. In a hypothetical scenario you just gave us that you believe to be true, they're underneath you and over top of you, but they're not in North America. That's the They still are. They still are. They're still here.
Yeah.
Okay. They're in every part of the Americas.
That's what I'm saying. I told you about the Pacific slave trade, and that's way before even that. But that's just
okay. So
that should teach you everything.
So wait, you're saying the Pacific slave trade? All right. So who brought them here?
Them.
So who enslaved? So they enslaved themselves and brought themselves here?
No, big fucking giant.
You said Pacific slave trade. Who enslaved them and brought them to America?
They were fleeing, most of them.
So you telling me that these people got here in the time of boats?
Yes.
No, Paco. No.
Oh, Lord.
No.
What the fuck?
Listen, let me show you how fucking stupid he is, right? And I'm gonna point this out. I'm gonna point this out. So listen, D, I just want you to, cause he gonna cut me off somewhere in this, cause he know the spotlight's on him. He gonna cut me off, but I want you to hear me, D. Listen, D, listen. So in 1500, right? Yeah. They couldn't bring people here, right?
Right.
But all the way back when Native Americans first get here, like he said, before the African slave trade, these people was able to flee and sell themselves across the largest, most dangerous ocean. The actual worst, like, you know, the Pacific Ocean is twice as far as where they had to go when they was going to what's the name, right? You know that the chains of islands are only in the south, and if you were to sail from the north, you wouldn't be able to island hop. And even if you were to island hop in the south, once you get past the Indonesian, Polynesian, Micronesian islands and shit, you're going to be the fuck out there. You got a long way to go before you get to Easter Island. So my point is this. Don't you understand that that's the largest ocean? No, it's only in the south. It's mad islands in the south. So anybody coming from the north won't hit them islands. And again, those islands stop.
It's some in the middle.
But they stop hundreds of miles between Easter Island. I sent you a video where the bull breaks down the motherfucking geography of it.
That's an easy trip, man.
No, it's not. That's way harder than crossing the Atlantic. The Pacific is twice the size, Paco. Paco,
but you riding with the
Paco, the worst, most dangerous ocean on earth is the Pacific Ocean. It's the largest. To get to land, Paco, you would be traveling for so much longer than you would be traveling across. But there's only islands up to a certain point. I sent you a tape on this, and then you got hundreds of miles before you get to Easter Island. So you would have to go.
It'll take a while.
But Paco, think about what you're saying. You're saying that a whole multiple civilizations of different people all across these countries came here on boats. But you're saying that thousands of years later, if you claiming that this technology existed when you claiming it did, thousands of years later, white people can't bring people on boats from motherfucking land they already occupied. It's like, it's the bias, D. It's the bias. It's like he got the ideology, the mentality of a religious person. As long as they say it's not true and they tell people it's not true, it's not.
Right.
No matter what the evidence say, no matter what somebody says to them, no matter how somebody says it to them, they can't get over themselves. Their own belief is the blocker. He's the lead blocker. Their belief is stronger than actual evidence. So they throw the evidence to the side and they just go with their belief against everything. Is that not what a Christian do?
Absolutely.
Is that not what a Christian do? Throw everything, every bit of evidence. Have you ever show me a virgin birth amongst a motherfucking animal? You want to show me a virgin birth amongst motherfucking people, and we've got a pretty good understanding of how people give birth. I'm not saying you are, but I'm just showing you the same dynamic. This is the same dynamic. These people, according to you, could sell themselves over here thousands of years before the fact of African slavery.
I mean, I've read about it. It's true.
I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is that ain't where Native Americans come from. Because if we actually believe with the current...
I don't know these Native American people you talking about.
The Native Americans are the Asians that was in America. So this is my thing. Like I said, I'm not closed-minded.
I don't know.
I could believe it both ways. I could believe that black people was here and Native Americans came here in droves. I can believe that. And I can also believe that Native Americans was here and black people came here. I can believe it both ways because you can make a logical argument for both. But what I'm saying is the end result was what? When white people got here, who had the land? Was it black people or Native Americans? Are we going to sit here and do what Dane Calloway do and make us seem like we was these primitive ass people? Because we wasn't. Our people don't come from primitive people.
Ben said that.
Ben said what? You said we are the Native Americans.
Yeah, but you be thinking somehow like your brain went crazy.
Nah, my brain
This is one of the most beautiful places on earth.
That's your opinion, brother.
And it still is.
That's your opinion.
It just was.
Paco, that's your opinion. But beauty has nothing to do with history. We talking about historical facts.
You keep acting like people was dumb back to here. Like you
I'm not acting like anything.
And you want people to run around.
I'm not acting like anything. What I'm explaining to you, this is what I'll point out to y'all. Y'all can take this however you want. And if you are a person of Native American descent, I do not mean to disrespect you in any way.
Go ahead, do what you do.
I just want to say this, y'all. Where else did white folks take over? Okay. Thank you.
Where?
My point is made.
Pennsylvania, that's where I live.
No. See, let me say it more plain.
I don't know what you're talking
for
about.
those of us who don't understand. There are two places in the world right now that I know that white people have taken over. Europeans, let me stop saying white people. Europeans have taken over and have full control over. There are two places in the world that I can name right now that are like that. The Americas and Australia. It didn't happen in Asia, and it didn't happen in Africa because there were too many people and they were too strong and too smart and had militaries and kingdoms and all that. Now, I'm not saying that these people didn't have militaries. I'm not saying that these people were not smart. I'm not saying that these people didn't have kingdoms. What I'm saying is they were not at the size, they were not at the capacity, they were not at the education level. They did not have the techniques, the tools, and the resources that Africa and Asia had. Because Africa and Asia kept white people from taking the whole thing. The Americas, that could not be done. Because A, the Native Americans had more primitive technology, and B, the Native Americans did not have the numbers. So this is what you have to understand. Mm-hmm. The thing about Africa, why Africa cannot be conquered, is because there is 1 billion black people there. And it's the same thing in Asia. There's more people in Asia than there is in Africa. So my point is this. My point is America does not share that story. The Middle East does not share that story. Australia does not share that story because these were places that were less populated or had less technology, less resources. And that's just the evidence of them being, their whole continent being taken from them. So we know who the perpetrator is. The perpetrator is the European. He took what he could. He took what he could take.
That's important.
The things he couldn't take, he didn't take. And that's my point. So however you want to look at primitive in my use of it, they were not at the stages that Africa and Asia were at. Just like when you look at most of the technological advances on Earth today and where most technology is produced today, you're talking about African technology and you're talking about Asian producers. Because these people have been doing these things the longest. They have found multiple places to do these, multiple ways to do these things. They have perfected it. And that's just the difference. What comes from America? Who buys Americans' cars? Well, online they say American cars are the worst cars on the planet. So now
it's worth a fortune in Albania if you understand it.
I mean, and a Benz is worth a fortune in America, but it's a piece of shit everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Same shit.
So, I mean, people can look at it how they want to look at it, but America was not popping like that. They was not doing nothing. Like, they wasn't on their way nowhere. They wasn't about to go nowhere. Like, even with the people of Polynesian and Melanesian and Micronesian islands, the people that come from Easter Island, the history is going to tell you that them people come from the Polynesian Islands. They're going to tell you that the people who was on Easter Island is the same people who went to Hawaii. That lead to Samoans, that lead to the people of New Zealand, that lead to, that got the same type of people in Australia. That's what they're going to tell you. So you got to ask yourself, who the closest place to Easter Island? Them. How come all the islands on the way to Easter Island share the same genetics as them? Except for Fijians. Because Fijians come from Africans. Just Africans who have lived in Asia for a very long time that made their way to the islands. So this is why Fijians are black and everybody else is yellow. We already talked about the colors, how we get the mixed color.
My God, you don't even act like it was just regular black fucking Indians here and just regular smart black people.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
I'm
not saying it wasn't. Why? Because it's not an abundance. Why? Because there's not an abundance of something to you. Is that me saying it doesn't exist? Why does everything that exists in your mind, there has to be plenty of it?
It don't gotta be plenty for me.
But that's how you're making it. You're making it like it's all these black people that was in America that had this information. If you're right, Paco, there would be more evidence of that. Because what was built is still standing today. The white man didn't come here and knock down what was built.
No, for sure he did.
All right, so it's still standing. So I'm asking you, why isn't there more standing? That's the $1 million question. Why isn't there so much more standing like when you go to Africa and Asia? Because they wasn't doing it as long, Paco. They haven't been doing it as long. They didn't have the numbers of those places to do it as fast. If you got 1,000 slaves and I got 1 million slaves.
It got to do with culture. It got to do with the culture.
Not really. Like I said, I would tell you what it really has to do with. The honest, no bullshit. Because me and you both agree slavery becomes a thing in multiple places all over the world. Paco, they didn't have the numbers. That's what they didn't have.
You're talking about cultural stuff.
Population is not cultural.
Egypt cities in the sand and they built over.
But what I'm saying is they did not have enough people here to build cities like what's the city? What's the most famous city? The one in Mexico. You know what I'm talking about. I heard you say it before. I can't never remember the fucking name. No, a city, Pot. A Corral. Supe Corral.
I don't know.
It's a pyramid there, right? The oldest pyramid.
Yeah, I know this. Yeah.
The oldest pyramid in the Americas, I believe. It's in Supe. Is it the Corral Pyramid, I believe.
The Magic Pyramid, yeah.
So my whole thing is this, though. How come it ain't more of that all over South America and North America?
It's there. They just want to tell you about it.
It's not there, Paco. Oh my God, Paco. What I'm not saying.
Look it up.
Paco. So now we get to make assumptions that there's all these great cities built hidden in South America and North America.
Of course.
So is great cities hidden in North America? Every part of North America has not been urbanized, Paco. There's still. I'm asking you this. I'm asking you this. So we know it's not in America, right? Or what's called America today. We know that, right?
You don't know nothing.
Paco, all of America has not been explored. All of North America, Paco,
No.
of the United States of America. All of the United States is not. Let me be more specific. All of
Seen every part, but
no no no
nobody
no no
seen
no no.
everything.
What I'm saying, I ain't asking you everything. Has all of the United States been explored?
Only they tried.
Huh?
Some places I said they did, and they tried. Some places they left alone.
No, I'm not saying whether or not they left it alone, but I'm saying every corner of the country of the United States of America, people have been to for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not inside of a particular cave or in some canyon or something. Okay, I understand that, but I'm saying,
Boom. That's it.
so
No
what
more
I'm
rap.
saying, if there
No
was,
more rap. What
what
you
I'm
just
saying
said,
is
there's
there.
no more rap.
So you telling me that inside of a cave, there's a great civilization built inside of a cave?
No, they got drones on the riverbanks and shit, my man.
Okay, so anything that would be on a riverbank in United States of America would have been discovered by now, correct? There are no riverbanks in America we don't know about, correct?
You out here don't be looking it up, man.
Paco, United States of America, every bit of land is a state, Paco. How do you create a boundary if you haven't been around it? We know the whole East Coast, Paco, is metropolitan. Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania.
They say they discover all types of stuff.
No. But what I'm saying is this. But what I'm saying is this. If there was a 1,000-foot pyramid anywhere in North America built of stone sticking out of the ground, we would have noticed it by now, correct?
Queen Khalifa and them lived in mud huts and shit.
Okay, so that's what you're gonna do. He's just gonna claim the unknown, dude. He pleading the fifth. He pleading the fifth. That's what he really doing. It's stuff we don't know about.